Civilization is built on an architectural paradox. We construct unified, stable societies out of human beings who are inherently driven by chaotic, competing passions. The 11th century Persian polymath Nasser Khosrow addressed this problem by removing it from politics and treating it as an issue of pure physics. He proposed that effective societal law is a mathematical reflection of physical reality. Khosrow states the universe pairs opposing elements. Water and earth oppose wind and fire, linking through shared properties like coldness. Breaking these bonds is facade, or corruption, degrading reality. Sala, harmony, requires binding these opposing forces into a rigid structure. Khosrow's physical reality is highly engineered. Stability exists strictly because contradictions are managed and locked into place. Khosrow maps this elemental physics directly from the macro-universe of physical matter down to the micro-universe of the human body. Our outward human experience relies on uncoordinated senses, sight, hearing, speech, taking in conflicting data. Beneath that sensory noise is the nafs, the rational soul, which receives these outward signals and unifies them into a single, coherent consciousness. Khosrow argues prophets engineered Sharia, sacred law, to replicate this biological architecture. On the surface, it presents as a frustratingly complex, contradictory set of rules. Yet inwardly, this chaotic web perfectly aligns, pointing toward a single unifying truth to guide the rational soul. Khosrow frames sacred law as an architectural mirror of human biology, a structure designed to organize outward chaos into inward unity. In the ancient Syrian city of Ma'arat al-Numan stood a scorpion pillar, an engineering artifact designed for pest control. Khosrow uses this pillar to define a talisman, an object created by sages that reflects a destructive force, mathematically neutralizing that exact force through mimicry. The stone scorpion was believed to project a protective barrier. By mirroring the physical form of real scorpions, it repelled them from the city limits. Khosrow applies this talismanic logic directly to human nature. In his view, humans are driven by primal, violent, and highly destructive physical urges. This leads to his claim: sacred law is a societal talisman, engineered specifically to bind and neutralize those violent human forces. The law deliberately mirrors the complexity and contradiction of the people it governs. It acts as a structural antivenom, absorbing and countering societal corruption. The stakes of this architecture are high. Without the mirrored structure of the law, Khosrow argues, the violent, ignorant masses would inevitably consume and destroy the rational and the wise. Strict societal rules are engineered defenses. They are talismanic shields that protect rational thought and spiritual elevation from the gravity of primal violence. We can test Khosrow's rigid philosophical architecture by looking at Islamic mysticism, and specifically the 13th century poet Jalal al-Din Rumi. This diagram illustrates Rumi's conceptual divide between outward form and inward meaning. Conflict arises strictly from our obsession with the fragmented outward shell. Piercing through that form to the inward meaning is the only path to peace, paralleling Khosrow's thesis of reaching inward unity. Hey everyone, if you enjoyed this video, hit that like button and don't forget to subscribe. Drop a comment below. I'd love to hear what you think. Your support really means a lot and helps me keep creating content for you all. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Both the medieval philosopher and the mystic conclude that sensory perception and outward rules are fragmented traps, while inner spiritual truth is singular and unified. This talismanic view of law is not isolated to the Islamic Golden Age. We find comparable intuitions in Western political philosophy. Thomas Hobbes described the state of nature as a brutal war of all against all, driven by base human passions and survival instincts. Hobbes' solution was the social contract, a concept that functions similarly to Khosrow's talisman. Both thinkers recognized that societal law is an artificial construct, engineered with the purpose of enforcing peace and restraining animalistic impulses. Looking back even further to Western antiquity, this diagram of Plato's Republic shows the same macrocosm-microcosm connection. Plato argued that a perfectly ordered, just society is structurally identical to a properly ordered individual soul. For Hobbes and Plato, this specific alignment, The use of law to mirror and manage the internal structure of the individual forms the backbone of a stable state. When we expand this framework eastward into ancient Chinese philosophy, Khosrow's physics of opposites finds resonance. This diagram represents the Taoist dynamic of yin and yang. It is mathematically identical to Khosrow's rule of binding opposing elemental forces. In Taoism, cosmic harmony, or the Tao, is never achieved by eliminating opposites. It exists through maintaining their active, dynamic tension. Confucianism provides the mechanism for applying this physical balance of opposites to human society. Confucius introduced the concept of li, meaning ritual and propriety, as a tool for shaping reality and human behavior. Confucian li functions like Khosrow's Sharia. Both systems deploy outward behavioral observations to tame base human nature and align society with a higher order. Eastern metaphysics echoes the blueprint. Harmony requires the binding of opposites, and social stability relies on outward rituals to cultivate inward order. These cross-cultural threads suggest a shared perspective on the structure of reality. They describe a universe that is structurally coherent and deeply interconnected. We see this in Khosrow's talisman, in Rumi's inward meaning, in Hobbes' Leviathan, and Confucian ritual. All of these systems share a common baseline. They acknowledge that humanity's outward nature is chaotic and destructive if left unmanaged. Their shared solution is to engineer laws that balance opposing human elements in order to protect the rational soul. In the logic of these traditions, law functions as an engineered talisman, a necessary tool for both survival and the elevation of the rational soul.